Hi everyone, so today I would like to talk about some of the books that I read recently and that left me basically speechless. I would like to tell you about two books by Korean-American author called Min Jin Lee. I was captivated by her writing. If you haven't read her books, which is Pachinko and Free Food for Billionaires, don't worry, this video is going to be spoiler free. I'm sure that by the end of the video you would love to grab a copy of her books and read it, experience her books firsthand. So as I have mentioned already, Min Jin Lee, she's a Korean-American writer. She was born in Seoul, South Korea, but then she moved to the US, and nowadays she's quite famous for her epic historical drama books that blend history, culture with more deeper personal struggles of the characters. Her books, I would say, explore such questions as immigration experience, race, class, search of belonging, search for community, and in the world that is often reflects your right for humancy, for human decency, something like that. She creates some space for people who see themselves as outsiders. I find it really significant that her most recent book, which is Pachinko, took almost 30 years to complete. She was, the author was collecting and crafting all these stories. Korean descendants who moved to the US or their family moved to the US, and so on, so on. During the promo time and even nowadays, she speaks quite openly about her commitment to telling stories of people whose stories are underrepresented, especially considering one of the Korean diaspora, since she's a representative for one. It's also worth mentioning that her books, her novels have been praised by really famous and important newspapers and stuff like that, and that is one of the times that it's really worth it, at least in my opinion. Before Pachinko, her most famous books, which I read first, and I finished this book I think even the previous summer, so it was the summer of 2024, and I still think about this book at least once a week, about the characters, about the questions that the author was talking about. And that's also the reason why I decided to read her first book. The first book, again, Free Food for Millionaires, tells us about a girl named Casey Han. She graduated Princeton, and during 1990s she's trying to find her place in a world of FIDI, join the finance bros and stuff like that. And her parents, they are migrants from Korea, and they are working in a dry laundry in Queens. The story starts with quarrel, and parents don't accept and don't want to understand and accept the struggles which is Casey's going through. Both of the books, and the first one in particular, they give us really like the characters that feel very real. They are messy, they make questionable decisions, they might be frustrating, ambitious, they are insecure, they are generous, they are reckless, and sometimes they are everything at once. What I also enjoyed about the characters and the novel in general is the fact that we learn the story through several perspectives. Min Jin Lee really seamlessly moving between those stories, giving us an intimate and really immersive look into a character's head and thoughts. What I also enjoyed about this book is how I was learning about American society as well from the outsider kind of point of view. Basically, for me, this book I would rate it 7 out of 10, just because it was the second book of Min Jin Lee. I was so impressed by pachinko book, so that sometimes you cannot see this as an independent novel, but just as preparation step for her epic historical novel called Pachinko. We'll talk further. It is about a Korean family who was forced to move from the beginning of 20th century in Korea, in the southern part of Korea, to the late 20th century in Japan, in Osaka and Tokyo. And if you haven't really thought about Asia history in 20th century, or you haven't heard anything about this period of time, I think this book will open your eyes, especially if you are a Japan fan and you know nothing more than anime and manga stuff. That book is a huge recommendation for you. And even though I knew some parts of the history, learning it on a more personal level through the characters was heartbreaking. It was truly heartbreaking for me. And in my opinion, what makes Pachinko book really remarkable is how balanced Min Jin Lee works with the narratives of the characters, their life stories, with a broader historical context. It is a family story, but it's not only a family story. It's actually a deep dive into colonial history of Korea and Japan, who forced the Koreans leave their country and trying to assimilate to work in Japan again. She's making an incredible job in terms of this. She brings life into the characters. We grew with them, we empathize with them. Sometimes during the reading of the book, sometimes I wanted to scream, I wanted to yell at them. Sometimes I was so shocked, I was speechless, I was heartbroken with the characters when some events took place. To sum up, for me, this book was 10 out of 10, I would say. I know it's a high score, but even though I tried reading this book twice, first time when I took the book and I tried reading it, it was not as captivating for me in the beginning, so I kinda abandoned it for some time. But my second attempt to read this book was really successful, and I devoured this book like in 2 weeks, and it was like a huge brick. And I don't have the physical copy on me these days, but trust me, it's like a brick brick kind of book. And the thing that again stuck with me in terms of both of these books is how, even though they are writing mostly about the struggles and how life basically sucks, and it even more sucks if you are a Korean in Japan during the 20th century, or if you are a Korean in New York City in 1990s, but it sucks a little bit differently. But these books, they aren't grim or hopeless at all. You still can find a lot of warmth in there. There are a lot of jokes that you laugh at. What also drives these books is the feeling of yearning. All the characters, they are yearning for success, for love, for community, for a sense of belonging, and for a feeling of acceptance. And bottom line of all of this reading experience that I really need to share about, and I even wrote about it on my substack, and it was a while ago. I still feel the urge to talk about these books, even though they were highly praised, that they are really appreciated. Just one more time, if you have heard of it but you haven't read these books, it a huge recommendation if you listen to the people on the internet, of course. So if you have read Min Jin Lee's books, what do you think of them? What was your experience of reading them? I would like to learn about them. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you have not read her books and you were inspired by my videos, please let me know in the comments. Hopefully, again, you enjoyed this video, and I will see you soon. Thank you so much for your attention.